Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for your time today. Janelle, thank you for thinking that having me speak would be a good idea. I hope I don't let you down. And thanks Sarah and Rebecca and everybody for putting this together today. I'm super excited to be with you guys today. Hi. I love to talk about Yelp, but I really love to talk about Yelp in a room full of people that I know are going to get it or already get it, live on the internet, understand the internet, have fun with apps, enjoy learning new apps. You're my people. So this is really fun. So I'm really excited today. So, you know, I know that you guys are pros, so I'm going to kind of power through the normal stuff that I spend a bunch of time on, like what is Yelp, and like Yelp's an app, and like what's an app. I'm going to skip most of that because, you know, some groups need that, but you guys don't. And, but we'll spend a lot more time delving a little bit deeper and kind of drilling down to the stuff that I really think might be helpful for your clients, and if you are a business owner, for you as a business owner, and if there's anything that we want to cover again or anything, we can always talk at the end. So I'll talk a little bit about community. I'll talk about some numbers because I think that's always helpful, and I'm a metrics dork. We'll talk, and then we'll spend really the rest of the time on Yelp for business owners. So community. Community is my absolute favorite part of the job, and that's a good thing because it's the majority of my job. But since day one, Yelp's focus has been to connect people to great local businesses, and whether that's locally here in our community or across the world. And we try to do that in ways that are useful, funny, and cool. And you'll see that a lot on Yelp. Useful, funny, cool reviews, useful, funny, cool content. And hopefully we do all of this in a way that makes life a little bit more interesting. These are our founders, not hip-hop Russell Simmons, VC guy. So Yelping around the world, we're in 32 international markets, 31 countries. And what this means is that there's a CM like me in every single one of these countries. And in many cases, there are many, many CMs in communities in each of these international markets. So we truly are a worldwide company. And I think that's really fun to think about when you think about, you know, the network that exists beyond just me. I'm here, I'm from here, I'm local, but I'm a part of this thing that is so much larger. And you as Yelpers are part of this thing that's a lot larger. So, events. This is a key function of my job. I host spectacular events and epic parties in Oklahoma City, specifically for our Yelpers. So some events, all you need is a Yelp profile, and you RSVP using your Yelp profile. Some events, you have to be an elite. So there are a couple of elites in the room. Janelle's here. What's up? Maggie's here. Hey, Maggie. Anybody else I'm missing? So if you're a Yelp elite, you get invited to about once a month a super VIP event that is intended to be maybe a little bit over the top, where you get to really experience a very, very kind of private VIP event at an excellent local business. So here are a couple of examples of recent elite events that we have hosted in Oklahoma City. So we did iFly. Has anybody, who else done iFly? Oh my gosh, you guys. I am here to tell you, I was nervous to do iFly. I was apprehensive. And it ended up being one of the most exhilarating things I have ever done in my life, right? I mean, it is so fun, you must do it. So iFly contacted us, and they wanted to help get the word out about iFly being open in Oklahoma City now. So they have tunnels in like 20 cities. That's what they call the thing, the tube. And so they contacted us, and we did an elite event where we basically took over iFly for the whole evening. We had so many elites that we had to do 2 rounds of, you know, 2 groups. But it was really funny because I really was nervous. And but then I decided, like, okay, but I'm like the leader of this group. Like, I've brought all these people to do this. Like, I can't be nervous and like apprehensive and like let them see that. So I'm like, I'll go first, right? Like, I'll be the first one to go. I'll jump in there first. And then as I'm literally walking into the tunnel, our trainer goes, you know, the first person who goes sets the tone for the whole group. I'm like, oh, no pressure, right? So then I decide that I really need to smile so that my team knows that I'm not like freaked out. You guys, I'm grinning like a complete idiot the whole time in the videos. I'm like I'm like spitting. It's like so bad. You really should keep your mouth shut. But I really felt like I needed to smile. So I hope I made you guys feel better about flying. So we got to do that as Yelp Elite. And then this was just a couple of weeks ago. We got to go to the zoo and experience their Wild Encounters program, which is a new program that they've just launched, where you really get to have these personal, close experiences with the actual animals. And I think that you sort of think like, well, how close will I really get? And that's why they wanted to host the Elites. They wanted to show a group of people that they know are tastemakers in Oklahoma City this great experience of the Wild Encounters. So we got to feed the stingrays, we got to pet a baby elephant, we got to feed the giraffes, and then this was the coolest thing. We got to do kind of a little mini training session with the sea lions, and each one of us, 24 of us, got to have our hand booped. Boop, by the sea. I mean, it was crazy. So, but what was really fun about that, and what was the whole point of them hosting us, was to get this message across that anybody can sign up for Wild Encounters. Anybody can sign up and pay a little bit of money and go to the zoo and have the same exact experience that the Elites had. We were just there to help get the word out about it. So, so that's a little bit about the Elite events that we host. I could talk about Elite events for like an hour. I also write the weekly Yelp. And so this is the weekly Yelp. It goes to everybody in Oklahoma City who has a Yelp profile, who hasn't opted out of email, so it goes to a lot of people. And we highlight 5 local businesses around a theme every week. And so this was a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to show it to you because we're highlighting businesses that have just opened in Oklahoma City within like the last quarter, basically. And so we highlighted Fat Dog Kitchen and Bar, which if you guys haven't been there, it's great.
Did you say 5 local businesses total or per category?
Yeah, so each week we kind of pick a category, and then we highlight 5 local businesses around that theme. So like a couple of weeks before this, it was taquerias, and we focused just on taquerias. So, so anyway, Fat Dog, Mary Eddie's, which is in 21C, which is great, the New Filipino Place, Fusion Kitchen, Jerusalem Mediterranean in Edmond, and then you can see we also highlight 3 local events, really hyper-local events that are happening that same weekend. The weekly comes out on Wednesday, so we kind of focus on things that are like Thursday, Friday, Saturday of that same week. And then we also highlight a local sponsor. So the sponsor gets a little bit more room, as you can see, and they get like there's a unique link where you can always like go right to download, like to buy tickets to the event. So the weekly Yelp is this really great tool that we have, number one, for getting the word out about these new local businesses that maybe you didn't realize were open yet, or you didn't realize Oklahoma City had 5 amazing taquerias. But it's also a great way to showcase these local events, and then it gives us this sponsorship space. And as you can see, I'm going to go back a little bit. I don't really write it, right? Because what we're doing is we're pulling actual quotes from real Yelpers who have been and have written a review. We're using their photos. Even the hero image is a Yelper photo that we have just resized. So this is really all being pulled from the reviews of local Yelpers. And I must say, and I should have introduced her when I first walked up, but Devin is our Yelp marketing assistant, Devin Green. I'm sure lots of you guys know Devin. She really helps put this together every week and makes my life so easy. And she does a million things and is my right hand, and thank you for being here. So that's the weekly, and if you have any questions about the weekly, or like specifically these events, if you'd like to have your event featured in the weekly, or if you'd like to think about sponsoring a weekly, this is all in-kind trade, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward, but no money changes hands for any of this. So it's a great way to get in front of all the Yelpers in their inbox every week without having to, sign a check. Marketing. So what I usually do is I trade that space, that weekly sponsorship space, for a marketing booth, or swag in a VIP bag, or our logo on the back of a t-shirt. So Michelle is here. She just brought me a Norman Music Festival t-shirt that had our logo on it because we sponsored. And when I say we sponsored, what we did was we traded for that spot in the weekly. So these are a couple of examples of recent events that we've sponsored. This is Sainttoberfest, which was a beer tasting event that was also a big fundraiser for St. Anthony Hospital Foundation. And then OKC Night Bazaar. So I like this picture because it shows our intern Chloe, and what she's doing here, she's helping someone download Yelp for the first time and kind of showing them the first few, this is how you search for a business, and this is how you apply some filters. So we really are on the ground trying to get new users to use Yelp and understand how powerful it is. And then OKC Night Bazaar, this was really cool because this was a first time event, first time ever in Oklahoma City. And rather than it being like a food truck festival or something like that, these were pop-up restaurants. So these were restaurants that really don't even have a bricks and mortar yet. And it was a way for these new restaurants to get out in front of potential clients. Well, that is like so up our alley. I mean, it's like perfect for us to be a part of. So we started working with them really early on, and they asked us to do something that was a little bit more interactive. They didn't want just this, where we're showing people how to download Yelp. They're a new festival. They didn't have a ton of vendors, and most of the vendors were food vendors. So they wanted something really different. So Devin came up with this. We have the Always Greener, we did hula hooping, we had a beanbag toss, we had a giant Jenga. And so we really try to meet our community partners where they need us to be, and we'll work with them to develop something that is a fit for both of us. This is a great event. Both of these are great. OKC Night Bazaar in particular, I want to mention because they have at least one, maybe two scheduled for between now and the end of the year. And if you are into food and you're into supporting, like, I'm talking like hyper local, brand new local businesses, this is so your jam. Education. So I do a lot of this kind of stuff. We spend a lot of time talking to community groups about Yelp. And as I kind of mentioned before, it really runs the gamut of someone who really doesn't understand even necessarily what's the difference between desktop and an app, and people like yourselves who are so savvy, and we're kind of drilling down a little bit. Facts and figures. Who uses Yelp, right? So I really love these numbers because they make me feel young. 57% are age 35 or over, 76% have a college degree, and 68% earn more than $60,000 annually. So they really are affluent, educated adults, and I think for many of the people in the room, I mean, like, this is who you want to be talking to anyway. So this is, I think, really good for you guys to see and know. These are people who are going to Yelp. They've already decided they're going to make a purchasing decision. They just don't know where they're going to go. So they open up the Yelp app. They're going to spend some of their money, but they want to make an educated decision about it. So here you are. What is an elite Yelper? So this is Scott H. You can see he has 799 reviews. He may have hit 800 since I did this slide. He lives in Norman now, but he moved here from Vegas a couple of years ago. And I just want you to see, like, this is the kind of stuff. He writes a detailed review. He takes great photos, oftentimes takes detailed photos, close-ups of the food. His reviews skew pretty positive, and I think you'll find that with most Yelp elites. Most commonly 4 stars with some 5s, some 3s, and a few little 2s and 1s. Scott's a great guy, and this is cool because we have a whole lot of people like this. People that I never would have met Scott if it weren't for the Elite Squad. And everybody on the Elite Squad who knows Scott might not have had any way to meet Scott if it weren't for this. So, and I think, like my elites in the room, like, I'm sure you have friends that you never necessarily would have crossed paths, and now you know each other from the Elite Squad. How many people use Yelp? 77 million monthly visitors via desktop, 90 million monthly visitors via mobile, and 102 million total local rich reviews. We crossed the 100 million milestone earlier this year, and that was a lot of fun. But so those are our rich local reviews, 102 million. So really, really deep data. This is the Yelp app. And I have notes on this because I feel like I want to get these numbers right. So 58% is 58% of the content that's contributed to Yelp happens on mobile. And that's a huge number, right? Because we didn't even have mobile. You couldn't write a review on mobile just a few years ago. So this number is huge, and I think really shows the direction that Yelp is heading, right? It's here. 440,000 users each month on average generate map directions directly from the Yelp app. So they open up the Yelp app, they make a decision, and they map that. I mean, they're headed to your business from Yelp. 70% is, that's 70% of search to Yelp happens on mobile. So again, if you think about the way that you're using Yelp, that really makes sense. I'm already on the go. I'm now just pulling up, I'm pulling up search from mobile. And then 523,000, that's the average number of phone calls that are generated to businesses using the Yelp app. So again, that's just such a direct line, and I love to see those numbers. I like this category breakdown too, because I think if you think of Yelp, you might think of restaurants, restaurants and bars. We get that a lot. But this is we're looking now at the percentage of reviewed categories on Yelp, 23% shopping. So I think that kind of helps you understand just how versatile Yelp is, shopping, then restaurants, and then you start to get these other categories. Don't people just use Yelp to complain though, Julie? Like, aren't people just like so negative? No, actually. So nearly 80% of Yelp reviews are 3 stars or higher. So I actually want to have this like tattooed on my arm somewhere because I feel like this is like so important to point out. But I actually love this other number a little bit more, which is, okay, but did you realize that there are also more 5-star reviews than there are 1, 2, and 3-star reviews combined? I mean, like, check my math because like I'm not great at that. But like that number to me, like, this is the best thing that you can say about a business. And we have a higher percentage of those, and we have all of those others put together. I mean, I really think that this is like just gorgeous. And I think this really usually reflects your experience also. Most of your experiences when you're out and about are pretty good, or you're kind of neutral about them. It's pretty rare that you have like an actual 1 or 2-star event in your life, right? It's pretty rare that you have like that horrible botched haircut, or that bad oil change, or that server that was just horrible. So I think that this also kind of really reflects where most of us are in our lives anyway. Okay, so how does Yelp protect against fake reviews? And I really love to talk about this because to me, this is the secret sauce that makes Yelp work. It's what makes Yelp reliable. And it's probably the thing that I get the most questions about, especially from power users. But Yelp utilizes a recommendation software. So every day, our recommendation software goes through the millions of reviews that have been submitted to Yelp, and it looks out for things that it does not recommend. And it removes those from search. They're still there, and you can still find them if you decide to dig deep. But this is really what makes Yelp so reliable, that we have decided that we value quality over quantity. The recommendation software combs every single day to pull out anything that for any reason kind of feels like maybe that's not the most reliable data that we can get. So I'm happy to talk more about that, but if you're not super familiar with the recommendation software, it may not make a ton of sense, but I'm always happy if you have specific questions about it to discuss. But one of the takeaways that I think is, at any given point, we're only, there are about 25% of reviews that we don't consider recommended. So you're seeing 75% of the reviews that we would consider the most reliable, the most trusted. Can I pay Yelp to manipulate my reviews? And the answer to that is absolutely not. There's no amount of money that you can pay Yelp to change your rating, change your reviews. We don't treat non-advertisers any differently than we treat advertisers. And this has been the truth of Yelp from the beginning. And we get this question a lot. I think sometimes, there are, reputation management companies will call and say, hey, if you'll sign on with me, I can, work with you on your Yelp reviews. And some of that may be true, but I'm going to talk to you specifically about your Yelp business page because there are so many things that business owners can do to really make that difference. This is the before of Park Slope Eye. Optometrists and eyewear in Park Slope, Brooklyn. Oh, this is such a sad page. Like what? Like what's happening with you? But this is what happens when it's built out. So this is Park Slope Eye. Once the business owner has claimed the page, they've started to respond to reviews. They've started to upload their own photos, and they've started to do things like add these Yelp deals and gift certificates. Now, those 2 features are paid features. But everything else that I mentioned, claiming the business page on Yelp, that's free. Uploading photos, free. Responding to reviews, free. So you start to see that then they're entering the conversation, and now this is a Yelp page that you would actually find valuable and useful, and you'd be able to dig up the information that you were looking for. So I think it's important to point out that there's kind of like a big distinction here. www.yelp.com and what you see when you download the Yelp mobile app is everything that I've been talking about up to this point. This is biz.yelp.com, which is a separate landing page just for biz owners, and this is where kind of the conversation shifts, right? So this is what you would see if you were a biz owner who was claiming their page on Yelp. Respond to reviews, measure customer activity, and convert visitors to consumers. My slide got messy, but $8,000 is the average annual incremental revenue generated by a business after claiming their free Yelp business page. This is not a Yelp number. This is a Boston consulting group that did this survey. But I think that's a pretty astounding number when you think about how small some of the margins can be. So this is what you would see if you were Yelp for Business owners. I love this activity feed because it starts to give you a good idea of how many people are finding you on Yelp, and then how many of those views are then being converted into customer leads. Now this is a dummy business that they set up, but when we're actually looking at a real business, these numbers are pretty impressive. And then on this left-hand nav, you see all the different things that I'm going to walk you through real fast. Activity feed's cool because you start to get an idea of who's using Yelp and who's finding you, and then what they're doing. Are they generating map directions? Are they calling your business? Maybe they've used a deal. Maybe they've unlocked a check-in offer. So you start to get a real glimpse of your demographics. And this is all based on how much information Bridget chose to give Yelp when she signed on with her profile. So I'm going to live here for a minute in this left-hand nav of the activity or the feed. These are all the different things that you can do as the business owner. So I'll just run through these. Business information, let your customers know when you're open, how to find you, and what it is you offer, right? So this is where you can add categories, address, phone number, website, hours, specialties, history, and then a little bit of meet the owner and biz recommendations. So we love ShopGood. They're my poster child for like how to use Yelp properly. Like they just do such a good job. So ShopGood is gift shops, men's clothing, and women's clothing. And those are the categories that she decided best fit her business. She's claimed her page. She has her address, her phone number, her website. She's activated her Message This Business feature, which allows her to have a conversation, much like an email inbox with people that message her. And then she has her hours, and then all of these great reviews. So there's mine. So this is a little bit more. So see over here on this side where it says from the business, and then there's a little link that says learn more about ShopGood. If you click that link, then you show up here. So she has built all of this out. She's added her history, kind of how they got started, and a little bit about their really unique business philosophy of giving back. And then under specialties, she talks a little bit about exactly what it is they carry, and just like these little tidbits that don't really have any home anywhere else on Yelp can live here. So the fact that this is the exclusive Oklahoma showroom for Warby Parker is like a key piece of information. So it lives there, and she's in control of that information. We also have these business recommendations, which I love. These usually, like in Audrey's case, I feel like these are her neighbors or neighbors and friends. But she's recommended other local businesses. If you've come over here to go to ShopGood, I also recommend visiting these fine establishments. It's a way to show a little love, and it's also a way to keep people in the area walking around, hopefully spending money. And then a little bit about Meet the Business Owner. She had more characters there, but I think that kind of sums it up. They're this adorable family that owns this great shop, hyper-local store. Photos, make a great impression with photos and captions. Captions are super important. Captions are important for SEO. Use your captions. You can upload, so again, I'm talking as the business owner, you can upload unlimited photos. We encourage you to avoid logos and like storefront photos. Let the photos of your actual product or your food or whatever tell the story. Again, caption photos. You can flag inappropriate photos, and headquarters will take a second look at those photos. And then update when necessary. So for example, ShopGood. She may right now be holding on to some inventory that maybe is no longer representative of, say, our basketball team. So she might remove some of those photos, and now it will be up to date of what she really carries, and you won't open a photo and have a little bit of Katie heartburn. Check-in offers. I love check-in offers. Check-in offers are free to use on Yelp. Okay. So check-in offers are really fun because they don't cost, all they cost you is the actual hard cost of what you're giving away. So if you're doing a BOGO burrito, right, the hard cost to you is whatever the food cost is on that free burrito. Yelp doesn't take a cut, none of that. They're also real time. So if you decide you only want to do it for like that last hour of Monday night when it's kind of dead, take it down when it's over. It's all real time. You don't have to honor it for some pre-agreed upon period of time. They're searchable, so I can be out walking around and I'm not Pokemoning, right? I'm actually searching by, is it a verb?
It's the only one.
I'm searching by check-in offers, which is a fun thing to do. It appears on your biz listing on Yelp Mobile. There are 4 customizable options, so like a free item, a fixed price, a percentage off, etc. All of the success can be tracked. You can look at how many were viewed, how many were opened, how many were redeemed, and then it closes the feedback loop. And I love this key point here. It closes the loop. When I go, after I use a check-in offer, then the next time I go back to my desktop to do anything on Yelp, I'm going to get this little pop-up message that says, hey, you used a check-in offer at Clarity Coffee. Did you want to write a review? So it's a great way to encourage those more power users of Yelp who are already using the app and already using check-in offers, triggers them, remember, write that review. This is what they look like. Reviews. Read your reviews. It's like that bill that's sitting on your cabinet. Just because you don't open it doesn't mean that the bill's not in there. So read your reviews, report suspicious reviews, and respond and share the good ones across social platforms. So you have a couple of options here. You can either respond in public or in private, and it just kind of depends the nature of the review how you would choose to respond. There are also 2 little buttons over there that I like to point out. There's a share and a flag. And share it if it's great. But if you think that in any way it violates Yelp's terms of service, if it speaks pejoratively about one of your staff members or anything like that, flag it. Yelp headquarters will take a look. If it violates our terms of service, it's automatically removed. Respond. So again, you can do that in 2 ways. I'm going to talk first about a public comment. That appears below the review. It becomes a permanent part of that conversation. It instills confidence that the business owners read this, they've acknowledged that they've received it, they've responded, and again, now I'm reading, not only do I see that review that maybe wasn't, maybe was great, maybe wasn't, but then I see what the owner said about that review. It can be a great advertisement, and you use it for all reviews, positive and negative, as you see fit. I love for people to respond to a negative review with like the perfect response in a public comment. It just really raises the level of dialogue. Private, though, is better for certain situations. It helps you address concerns one-on-one. It's really best for detailed correspondence. So if you're trying to ask, what was it that made you feel bad, or, who was it that was such a bad server, those conversations absolutely belong on private. It's resolution-based, so you're trying to get to a resolution with this user. It helps you gain valuable feedback. And it's organized for reference, again, kind of that email view, so you can kind of keep track of conversations that are still in play. And again, probably usually best for negative reviews. Stop, drop, and roll. When you get a negative review, we always encourage you to stop, drop, and roll. Don't respond immediately. Waiting 24 hours can make a big difference. Sleep on it. Drop anything that might sound argumentative or defensive, right? Like they're still the customer knows best, that kind of stuff. So anything that sounds kind of defensive, have somebody read through that first. I have absolutely no business responding to a negative review ever before my husband makes me sound like not a troll, So have somebody read it first and help you make it sound a little bit better. And then roll, right? Like with so many things in life, you cannot please 100% of people all of the time, and that's okay. So work to mend any valid complaints or any valid concerns, but you can't win them all, and you've done what you can do, right? So I have pulled 2 examples of responses from my stuff because I think it's really worth showing. So this was a public comment that is now permanently attached to my review of this hotel that I stayed in St. Louis. And this was all super valid, right? My concerns were valid, her concerns were valid. It was still a 5-star review, but she got to feel like she said her piece, and now when people read that about the review, they might be like, yeah, Julie, just call and ask for a blanket, it's not a big deal. This was a private message from a local business owner here when I kind of ripped a little bit on the service, and wisely he's messaging me privately to say, it'd be really helpful to me if I knew who we were talking about and when this happened. Perfect responses from both of these business owners. Review badges, I always run out of time by the time I get to review badges. Am I okay? Okay. Review badges are really cool, and we don't talk about them enough because I talk too much and then I don't get to the slide. But badges and buttons are, you can put those on your website or on your newsletters or any communication that you're sending out to your peeps to make sure that they know about Yelp, or your Yelp page in particular. So again, I'm back on Yelp for Business Owners. I'm on this left-hand nav. I'm down here at the very bottom, review badges. And you can copy and paste this HTML code and put these buttons right on your website. Breaks my heart a little when I see a business that has 5-star reviews and they're only linking to their Instagram and their Twitter, like, we have Yelp buttons for you. So especially for your clients to know, I think that's super helpful. We also have creative assets available for download on the same page. As you guys, I'm sure, all are aware, also we have some brand guidelines that we ask you to follow, but that's all on biz.yelp.com under your business owner account. So these are my takeaways. I think we can all agree that Yelp is the most trusted review site for finding information on a local business. Yeah, I know, right? Community events and the weekly Yelp are my tools to help connect consumers to great local businesses. Claim your business page to earn an additional $8,000 a year. Not our number. Boston study, I have the citation if you need it. Use Yelp's free tools for business owners to help grow your business and manage your online reputation. Again, free tools, right? It's all there for you. And then I'm here when you need me. So I think that's like another takeaway that's worth mentioning. I use all the social media. I love it all. And I spend a lot of time on all of it. But I am the only person that I know of who's from here, who lives here, who works for an amazing company, who has really invested so much time and money and resources in keeping me here. And I think that's really what sets Yelp apart. I think that's what sets our marketing department apart. You see community managers now, but a lot of those are, they're based somewhere else, they live somewhere else, and they're just communicating with you from there. But the fact that Yelp has really committed to keeping community managers in the local markets, I think really speaks to what kind of company it is and what good care they take of all of us. I can absolutely speak to that. And then this is how you can get in touch with us. We have these great support centers that are kind of self-service where you can answer a lot of your questions, whether you're just a user or you're a biz owner. They're like answers everything truly. And then there's also this blog. So like if you're looking for, I don't know, how to upload your menu to Yelp, there's a blog article about it that just like walks you through it with screen grabs and all kinds of great information. So, but then I'm also always here, and now you'll know how to find me. So that's it for me, guys. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
We have time for questions. So what questions do we have for Julie? She was just that perfect. No
Man, I
questions?
covered it all. Yeah.
So my notes, can you explain a little bit more about elite numbers?
Yeah. So elites are, I think, really cool too because there's not like a magic formula for how to become elite. It's quality, but it's also quantity, and it's kind of a know it when we see it thing. But really, you just start writing Yelp reviews, and you start checking in with mobile, and you start adding photos. And then eventually you'll be on not only my radar, but the radar of the Elite Council at headquarters. And then we'll start a conversation. Are you interested in Yelp Elite? Is that something that you think you'd be into? Some people in this room might not be eligible because you can't be like a PR manager and be a Yelp Elite. Bummer, I know. But you can still come to my parties, it's fine. And so then, yeah, we ask you a couple of questions. Like we make sure you're not a business owner, right? Because they can't be elite. But it does get that conversation going. And then I think it's fun, like I have people who are really, really great writers who like love to craft these like eloquent stories, and they're kind of using Yelp Elite as a way to like scratch that writing itch, right? But then we have some people that are just like so factual, like here's how parking goes, and here's what we ordered, and here how happy hour specials go, and it's just like a wealth of information, but it's real short and sweet, So it really runs the gamut. Is that helpful? Yeah.
Yes. I see that healthcare is one of the lowest rated areas of Yelp, or lowest reviewed. Sorry. Yeah. Is there any tips specific to healthcare to get a healthcare entity more engaged with the community?
That's a great question. So Yelp we have so many different platform partners that we've partnered with over the years to grow certain sectors or segments of the categories. We have a partnership that's just been launched fairly recently with ProPublica, and they specialize specifically in healthcare reviews. So we're starting to see some of that content being integrated, which I think will help have deeper data in those healthcare categories. So that will help on the Yelp side. On the healthcare local side, I think it's kind of hard because you don't want to say to every single person that comes through, hey, review us on Yelp, right? Because if they're not a trusted member of our community, their review may not show up anyway, you know, the recommendation software being what it is. So what's most helpful, I think, is to have some signage up, you know, in the clinic or in the exam room or in the hallway that just has like the Yelp logos and things that you can download. That may be the best way, because if Annie sees that when she's in her doctor's office, she's already a Yelper, and it may trigger, you know, I probably do need to review my doctor. You know, I probably do need to take that time. We have done a couple of events at businesses that aren't like exactly businesses where we would normally have events for that exact reason. Because when we get people through the door and maybe we come there for our food and drink, they'll learn a little bit more about like that, like spa dentist or whatever. So I'm happy to talk about like specifically with you about like your clients to see if there might be some really specific ideas. Yes?
Speaking of events, what's the difference between what you do in terms of events and that actual events link that's up there?
Oh, that's such a good question, and I just like totally gloss over it. So we have yelp.com/events, and that's a part of the website where any Yelp user can go and upload details about an event that they're a part of. So if you work really closely with Myriad Gardens and their Twilight concert series, you would go to yelp.com/events and upload your event there, in the hopes that Yelpers would see it, and in the hopes that I would include it in this newsletter, right? And then that little sponsor section is sort of like that next level of highlighting a local event that we are actually directly partnering with. We're going to have a booth there, we're going to be giving out free swag, or we're going to be doing something there. And then these other events that I'm talking about are elite events, or events that are open to people that have a Yelp profile that we're promoting. And those are private or RSVP only. They're VIP, and they're usually used, like we did an elite event on the patio at Flint right after they opened that patio to kind of help get the word out about the patio. But that was an elite event, and it was private, and I messaged my elites separately to let them know that they could RSVP to this party. Is that helpful? Yeah. Thank you. Yes?
I've got a question here from Twitter. What's the best way to respond to a negative review? Private message or public message?
Just totally depends. I mean, normally I would kind of veer on the side of private, okay? But I also love this question because I feel like it's really important people get a negative review to remember, and this is like TLDR, right? Like this is not gonna work for Twitter. But like a negative review, like you don't actually have to absorb everything in the negative review and then like catalog every complaint and like mea culpa, like take full responsibility and like apologize profusely, right? You're just kind of taking it all in. You're dealing with like the most valid, or the thing that you as the business owner are like, yeah, that sucks, man. Like I clearly wasn't working that night. Like I hate that happened. Like respond to that part. And if it feels authentic and if it feels okay to respond in public, then you should. And if it feels like a conversation that requires more information or maybe is a little bit more nuanced, I would have that in private. But I think it's worth pointing out that absolutely anything you say in private can absolutely be public in like a moment. So keep in mind, it's private to you right now, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to blast it on Twitter. So yeah, good luck condensing that. Yes?
As a consumer, how does your platform work when it comes to when you're reading reviews, when you're looking for places to go?
Mm-hmm.
How come I'll see a review from maybe like 6 months ago, and then the one below it'll be from last week, and then it's all...
Excellent question. Excellent. So it's Yelp Sort. So Yelp Sort is kind of based on some of the same things as the recommendation software, where we're putting our very most trusted users right up top. So like this whole front row right here are like some of the most trusted Yelp users in Oklahoma City, and you're gonna see their reviews pop right up at top. So you'll see Annie, her little pink cap, her little profile picture, she's gonna come right up to the top on a lot because she's such a trusted member of our community. She's written so many reviews, she's posted so many photos, she's a current user, she's still reviewing, she's still adding photos, she checks in all the time. So that's kind of how it's all organized. On desktop, it's very easy to change the sort order. Sort by date, you know, sort by rating, lowest to highest, or vice versa. It's a little bit trickier on mobile, you know, just because the interface is so small. But that's Yelp Sort in a nutshell. Yes?
So if you're wanting to write reviews or post photos or whatever, is it better to do a lot at once? Like if you're sitting at your computer and you're like, oh, I hit a bunch of places today, or is it better to like space it out like one place a day?
It's like, I swear she's not a plant, guys. Like, I did not plant her there to ask that, even though we're friends. So if you're trying to become Yelp Elite, consistency is really important. So you're probably not going to make Yelp Elite if you just like go like a couple times a year and dump a bunch of photos. So sometimes I'll do something where I say, especially when I'm traveling, because it's so easy to forget like what wine flight you had at whatever. So I will draft reviews and save them in drafts, and then post them when I really have time to get back to them, clean them up, make them really useful, funny, and cool. But then I post consistently. So I have almost 950 reviews, but like I post one a day, not every day, but so thanks, Michelle. I'll pay you later.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So say you're managing Yelp on behalf of a business.
Mhm.
What is a good strategy or process that you can monitor these reviews? Like, do you get alerts for them? Like, how would we be able to monitor that for a business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think we have an if then this that or any kind of recipe. I think it's probably still pretty organic, which is the way we want it to be. And I think the main thing for any social media manager who might be managing multiple accounts, and this is true for any platform, but whether you're a business owner or you're managing an account, we definitely don't want you to respond if it's not an authentic response.
Right.
And so I think that that's often the challenge for these social media managers or these marketing managers. You have to respond authentically, but you have to respond the way the business owner wants you to.
Right.
And you don't always have access to that business owner because that's the point of you doing it.
Right.
And so I really think that it does take, really knowing your client well, really understanding how they want you to respond, and then taking the time to craft that response in a way that still feels so authentic and so real. And like, if it's not going to be authentic and it's not going to feel organic, there's really harm in posting something that is, we really encourage people not to do anything canned. And I don't know what the official like Yelp line on stuff like this is, but I always encourage people, it's impossible to respond to everything.
Right.
And there are lots of things that don't really require a response. If someone hasn't taken more than a few minutes to write a review, I don't think that warrants a response. Even if it's a 5-star review. Great, loved it, tacos, so good. I'm not going to respond to that, So I think it really is a case-by-case basis. But I think in terms of like monitoring it, I think you still have to just like straight up monitor it.
Log in every day
Yeah,
and see it.
yeah. Maybe there's a worker. I'm sure super techie people can find a workaround.
True.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Non-answer.
Great answer.
Yes.
On that note, what is a review you could say that a business should definitely respond to? Sometimes you get negative reviews and the professor I'm not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Bad, good, indifference.
I mean, I definitely think you respond if it's something that you read that review and you just think, yeah, that is just really bad. I mean, if you read it and as the business owner you think, I can't believe that happened. What were my staff do? What was happening there? I think that that's one that you definitely want to respond to. And I think a really positive review that you can tell someone has really taken time. They know the menu items. You can tell that they probably even went back to the website to make sure they were getting the menu items right. Mentioning the caramelized onions. To me, that is like, that person took time out of their day to make sure they got that right for you. So that's one that I would definitely respond to. And I'd respond in a public comment. Janelle, thank you so much for your review. We loved having you in. We can't wait to see you again. So glad you love those quesadillas. Like, I would always respond to something that's substantial. Does that help? Yeah.
You guys have like a subscription service type thing where basically, I don't know if it's subscription, but basically where businesses can pay and have different analytics or have different features. What are some ways that you guys capture and bring in those businesses as customers now?
Yeah.
Is it just users that convert over?
So we have a very robust ad sales business. That's how we make all of our money. So you'll find ads on Yelp Mobile, you'll find ads on desktop, you'll find ads of competitors' businesses on a business that you're searching for sometimes. So you see all those different ads. We have an ad sales team who does all of that. And they're often converting. And you'll see this sometimes. I don't do sales. But a lot of times when I go and speak to a business owner and then they claim their business page, well, then guess what happens a couple days later? The phone rings, right? Because some of the work has already been done to convert that business owner into an advertiser, because they at least know enough about Yelp now to claim their page and start adding some photos. So that makes it an easier call for the ad sales rep who's going to call and try to sell them some local advertising. As far as the analytics go, though, I think it's important to point out that you get a ton of analytics on the free business tools. So that graph that we saw, that little chart, there is so much more data that you can dig really deep on that I just did include the slides for. And I'm happy to pull up a biz owner, one of my accounts, to look at to show you some of the deeper analytics. The data is so deep and there's so much info that it's really fun to play around in. Yeah. Is that your question? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
That was
guys.
really
It was
fun.
really fun. Thank you so much. Thank you.